Welcome, everyone. This is the Mid-Residency Review for Adam Snaider. Adam, take it away.
All right, let me share my screen. Cool. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, you're seeing the presentation, right?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So hello, everyone. Today I'm going to be showing you pretty much what I've been up to. Basically, I'm going to start with my beginnings in computer science, how I got started with that. I'm going to be talking a little bit about when I was back in Argentina and how I transitioned to California. I'm going to talk about high school robotics and my first internship, which was Peloton technology. Afterwards, I'm going to talk about what I've been up to once I started at UCSB. I'm going to talk about SP Hacks, working at LogMeIn, my internships at Google, and then a couple efforts that I'm currently ongoing, which is the curriculum restructuring, as well as my basically teaching, tutoring for CS classes, as well as like other things that I'm going to be mentioning as well. And finally, I'm going to end with what I see, where I see myself, my goals in computer science, my short-term goals, as well as my long-term. So let's begin. Let's talk about basically where everything started for me. And I'm going to try to be brief because I know how much time this could take. But I was born and raised in Argentina. I went to a high school that had a system where you could join an orientation once you got to like the middle. So that was like fourth year out of the 6 years of high school. You could like join different orientations. And one of them is technology driven. It was a technology driven orientation. And I joined that. I specialized in that. I was like specializing in like the technology aspect of it. Something interesting about this high school is that every year we get to like do a final project. And so this is one of the first projects that I worked on. And what I did was, in a group of 4, we created this sort of like automated, like solar powered house, like model house, like mini, like maybe like about this size. And then I was like in charge of getting the code running. And so we had like lights control, people detection. So like if someone walks into a room, then the lights would turn on and stuff like that, or maybe the music would play. And then I also like decided to add voice assistant because that makes it so much cooler. So yeah, that was pretty fun. And that was like one of my first like, real experiences like working with like computer science, and when I really started enjoying that. Then I moved to California. So that was like at the end of my 4th year, I moved to California, and I attended Mountain View High School. I was moving in to California right in the middle of the school year. So that was like in the middle of sophomore year, around January. I decided to join the AP computer science class. And that was really fun. The only problem is because I was joining in the middle of the year, I had to like catch up. Thankfully, I had experience with C# from my high school in Argentina. And then I also had like, I was very lucky that my dad was a instructor for Java. And so he was able to like catch me up a little bit more on like what was going on, like get me on track to like be able to do well in the class. And another fun fact is that we also had a final project for this class, and I decided to make this sort of client server based like chess game, which was really fun. And it actually looked pretty good. Like I'm surprised how well like it looked. But that was really fun, and I ended up getting first place on like the project fair competition that we had. That was really fun as well. And then I later became like the TA for the same class the year after. So that was my junior year. I was a TA for the AP computer science class, and I got to like tutor like one-on-one for students that needed help getting on track. And as you'll see, like I think teaching is like one of the things that really drives me in computer science. It's one of the topics that will like keep showing up throughout my presentation. So yeah, let's go on. During the same year, when I was in sophomore year again, I also started high school robotics. This was like one of the main things that really affected me as a computer scientist. I learned so much from this. On my senior year, so I started sophomore year. On my senior year, I was like really obsessed with like control systems. And one of the mentors asked me, okay, can you build me this like hybrid Kalman filter? And basically the idea is we needed to improve our accuracy for like our shooter, and like we couldn't like do that with like the current like control systems that we had. And so I had to like make a few changes so that we could like, I don't want to go into the specifics of the hybrid Kalman filter, but like it's kind of interesting. And I was like, I don't know how the heck to do that, but I'll do it anyway. And I did, and it was really fun. I learned a lot from that. And actually the accuracy improved by like around 10 to 15%, which was really fun. On my senior year, I was also like the lead programming mentor, or sorry, the programming lead for the robotics team, which meant that I was setting up, basically deciding on what things need to get done, make a list, making sure that everyone was doing something, as well as having workshops for like new members and like teaching them one-on-one to like get them on track so that they can help with the code and stuff like that. So again, that's another place where teaching shows up for me. Lastly, before I started college, I was very lucky to land an internship at Peloton Technology. So this was like in the summer between my high school and my college years. This was my first internship experience, and I got to Peloton Technology. Basically, what they do is they have a system. They create a system where like trucks are allowed to like basically go in chain one behind the other one, with the goal of reducing fuel consumption. And what my goal for the internship was, I had to create this module or like the system that will report latency between like messages passed between like different modules in the truck. So like if the radar is sending a message to the control system, that is then sending a message back to like, I don't know, the gas control, the gas pedal, then we would want to know, okay, how long did like it take to like send those messages, receive them, and like actually process those messages and stuff like that. So that was like really important. And then we could use that for like maybe evaluate it offline and like check, okay, do we have any issues? Or like maybe even online in real time, the truck could like maybe make a decision about what to do based on if there is like too high of a latency between like messages that are sent between the different parts in the truck. That was really fun, and I learned a lot. I learned a lot about industry as well, from here, and robotics as well. Yeah, it really shaped me how like I approach coding from then on. Okay, so let's start about talking about UCSB. I joined UCSB in the College of Engineering, so I was not in CCS from the start. On my first year, I attended SB Hacks 4, SB Hacks 4, which was really interesting because I was really interested in machine learning at that time. And so me and my team decided to make this sort of like, we use like this Kaggle data set to like make a toxicity analysis like app or like website. It would take in like a comment. So like imagine someone like posted a comment on YouTube or something like that, and then you could like put it into our app, and then it will like show you like a chart on like how toxic it is, or like how obscene and threatening, or et cetera, et cetera. I had like 6 different categories, and like you could like check that. And that was really fun. And we actually won the Best Machine Learning App Challenge, which is sponsored by LogMeIn, which then led to me getting my internship at LogMeIn in the machine intelligence team. I was mostly, when I started in LogMeIn, I was mostly focusing in the go-to infrastructure, which is like GoToMeeting, GoToWebinar, et cetera, et cetera. And then one of the main projects that I worked on that I can talk about because it's been made public is a project to automatically extract slides from webinars. So imagine I'm here presenting to you in this meeting. I wanna be able to like maybe send you the slides afterwards. So like anyone that is watching, they can like automatically see the slides that I'm presenting. If the host doesn't like share the slides, it doesn't like actually show the slides, then it, the people watching it might not be able to like get like a copy of the slides. But so what we did is like we created a system that allows presenters to automatically generate the slides from what they're presenting. So the way it works is it will figure out whether the host is actually presenting a slide or not. Like for instance, like I could be presenting a slide like I am right now, or maybe I'm demoing something on like a web browser or something like that. So it would actually check whether we got a slide. Then we needed to check, okay, where are the corners of the slide, if there is one. Then we also had to like make sure, okay, if this is a slide, where are like all the different text boxes and like pictures and stuff like that, because we want to make sure, because after that we need to see, we don't want to show every single slide. We want to make sure like, okay, where does the slide actually change? So we have like this video frame, and we need to actually figure out when the slide changes. And if I'm moving my mouse and stuff, I don't want that to be like, oh, the slide changed, right? As well as we also want to care about like the maximum entropy in a slide. So like if it's like, how like people have like those in their slides, they have like those transitions where like text like pops in from like the screen, and like it just says something like maybe it even leaves the screen. And so you want to capture that. You want to, like, at the end of the day, you want to keep the maximum entropy of the slide. That's the one that you want to show. And so we had to deal with like all of that in like our pipeline, which made it really interesting. So anyway, so that's about the automatically extracting slides from webinar. That was one of the projects that I worked on early on. I was at LogMain for like about a year. So I actually, nearing the end of my work, I was doing more experimentation with knowledge graphs and like how we can use them to improve our recommendation system. That was really fun. I was mostly involved in like the prototyping, so like figuring out, okay, how can we do this? So like what kind of frameworks do we have that allow us to do this? Like what can I do with like a knowledge graph, or like how do I set it up? Stuff like that. So I was pretty much setting everything up so that the team could then use it for the purpose of improving recommendation. All right, so let's talk about what I did at Google. So I was at Google for 2 summers. I did intern at Google twice. The first time was in the ads team in the summer of 2018. Back then, I was tasked, like we had like these advertisements that have like the phone numbers, as you can see in the bottom picture. And we want to automatically, someone like publishes their own ad, we want to make sure that whoever they are, they're actually being honest, and like what they're posting is actually true to who they are. So if I'm saying I'm McDonald's and I'm saying call here, I want to make sure that I'm truly, representing McDonald's, and the phone number that I'm putting in there, it actually represents like the phone number for McDonald's. So the idea is we want to automatically verify whether like a publisher is being legitimate with like their ads. And for that, we basically have like the system with like a bunch of layers that decide, okay, whether we blacklist something or whitelist something, and then send it for review, manual review. So that was the idea, and that was really fun. I can't really talk about the specifics because of the NDA, but I can say that one of the projects did involve machine learning, which was really interesting because I got like, this was like the first time I got to experience machine learning in a production environment, which for those of you who don't know, it really sucks. It's kind of like you're just like there and like you think, okay, I'm just gonna have like this amazing model and like all of that, and like it's great, but most of the code ends up being, okay, I need to like process the data, and then I need to like, actually create a whole system so that like the model will be robust and it will like automatically retrain as new data comes in. And so like it's a lot of boilerplate, and it's like not as fun as it is like outside maybe. But that was like really interesting to learn. I also, then on the summer of 2019, I was in also Google in the hotel search team. So you can see kind of like what that looks like on the top right. So basically we worked with like this with hotel-based queries. So like if someone searched for hotels in SF in San Francisco, then it will show you like this. And my goal was to improve the ranking of the hotels by adding more features that we use to rank it. So there's like this machine learning model that like takes like a bunch of like different features and then uses like clicks and stuff like that to decide how to rank them. So yeah, my goal was to add more features to this model and like experiment to see whether like those features actually help improve the actual rates of booking. And that was really fun. One of the things that I did, one of the most important things was basically imagine like every hotel has like this list of like terms that like represent the hotel. Like I can't really mention how this list is actually created, but like imagine like each hotel has like a list of terms that represent it, as well as like maybe a score on how good like this term represents a hotel. So like for instance, maybe all of these hotels in marker San Francisco is like one of those keywords or like key phrases that like really represents it because it's in San Francisco. It's the name has San Francisco. So we have like all of this list of words. And then I was working on, okay, what if we create like this like embeddings for like all of these words and then combine it with like the score that each phrase has, and then use that as a to the model. And that actually, when I left, it was like being experimented on to see whether I made a difference. And from the preliminary results, I can say like it was doing a good, it was improving the ranking by a significant margin, but I haven't heard any back since then. But yeah, that was like one of the main things that I worked on. It was actually really, really interesting to learn. moving on. I want to talk about something that I'm currently working on, a little bit more involved in UCSB, which is restructuring the curriculum. I'm part of the team involved with restructuring the computer science lower division curriculum. So that includes C16, 24, and 32. This whole like task is led by Professor Richard Wang. He basically recruited a few other students, including myself, to like create new content for the classes, for all the lower division classes, as well as creating new labs and so on and so forth, everything that is involved with that. I'm mostly involved with creating a new backend that connects with the testing framework such that then it would output the results to Gradescope. I somehow like stuck with that, so that's always fun. I actually do really like working with systems, so it's actually kind of fun. But yeah, so that's the idea. You can see like maybe like a snippet of like what that looks like. So we have like some failing tests, and like here you can see like the error messages. One of the main goals is that we would have like really nice error messages as well. It would be easy to expand to like other frameworks and other programming languages. So that's the idea. I'm currently trying to like make it so that the framework is robust enough so that I don't really have to look at it anymore. I know it just works and I don't have to like fix it. So that's the goal. Wish me luck. All right. Finally, before I go to the end of my presentation, I just want to talk about a few honorable mentions that didn't really make it into the presentation, but I thought I would like, give like a brief shout out. SB Hacks 5, I made like this project, or I tried to make this project with like a few other team members that to basically input a song and then output like the same song, but in a different genre. So we would use like convolutional neural networks for that. That was a disaster. It didn't work. I was an SB Hack 6 organizer for quite a bit of time. Basically started in the spring of 2019. And I was organizing, trying to like get sponsorships and stuff like that, all the way until like fall of 2019 as well. So that included the summer. Unfortunately, I couldn't like keep up with like all the work, and so I had to let that go. I was in the game development class, and my project, I decided, okay, I'm not gonna make a game that's lame, so I'm just gonna make a game engine instead. That seems reasonable. That was really fun. I learned a lot, and I actually got something that kind of works. Don't use it though. It's not under continuous development, so you don't wanna use that. I did a bunch of machine learning and reinforcement learning project. That's especially during my freshman and sophomore year. I was doing a bunch of those things. It was kind of fun. I also did something with like the ERP stock market. There's like this competition that goes every year. We're trying to predict the S&P 500 for the next like 7 days, I think. We tried using convolutional neural networks for that. That also didn't work. I don't know if I had a bug in my code or what, but yeah, it didn't work. It was easier to just like get the mean and just like output like a fixed number, and it would have been a better result. But yeah, so anyway, so now let's move on to like the actual final part of my presentation, which is I want to talk about like teaching. For me, it's like one of the main motivations to stick with computer science. Like I think I really enjoy teaching. I was a tutor for AP Computer Science. I became a tutor back here at UCSB. So I was a tutor for CS130B last quarter, as well as now I'm tutoring CS32. And I also started last year volunteering with like a few other friends. We created this club, and we go every quarter to a new elementary school, and we teach computer science as an extracurricular activity. The idea is we teach maybe Scratch, or like there's like some other apps as well that are like really nice for young kids to like learn CS. And it's been actually really fulfilling, especially at the end when you're about to leave and like the kids ask you if you're gonna go back next quarter, and you're like, no, we can't. We only have like 4 people, and we're trying to like go to like other schools as well. But yeah, it's definitely been really fulfilling for me to work on this. And so finally, so let's talk about what I think I want to do afterwards. So in the short term, I'm going to be interning at Google next summer. That's pretty much the same. It was going to be in LA. That's not happening anymore. Hopefully, if the whole coronavirus issue quiets down and like we can go back to normal, then we'll be able to continue teaching at the elementary schools. That would be really awesome, because that next year is going to be my final year. So hopefully we'll get to do it again. And in the long term, the truth is I'm probably not going to get an MS or PhD, at least not straight away. I'm going to be exploring options on maybe like teaching CS, so like as a job, maybe finding a way to like keep teaching CS. Maybe we can do like the teaching at the elementary schools online. I don't know, it depends on the district. But yeah, and then probably after graduating, I'll probably go into industry, at least at the beginning, just to see what happens. I want to try to see if I can find a job in something that also involves hardware. I was like, ever since like back in robotics, I was like really interested back in robotics and Peloton technology. Even before that, when I was in Argentina and I did like the model house with like all the lights and stuff, that was kind of fun. So yeah, hopefully I'll find something like that as well. And I mean, yeah, so that concludes my presentation. Any questions? Anything else?
All right, well, let's first thank Adam. It's hard to do applause over Zoom, so I'll just applaud on behalf of everyone. Adam, I'll start the questions. So you're interested in teaching.
Yes.
But you also are suggesting that you don't want to do a master's or PhD, at least not right away.
Mm-hmm.
There are certainly lots of volunteer opportunities to teach computer science without getting a master's or a PhD. If you wanted to actually be employed, though, in the public schools in California, I think they're really the only way to get a teaching credential is to get a master's degree. That's just kind of how it works. Certainly, there are opportunities in private schools as well. But yeah, I think I would love to see you have an opportunity to do teaching as a career. You may want to think about the master's and the PhD. It certainly I after school I wanted to go into industry for a while and get that experience. So that's perfectly fine. But I hope you'll keep an open mind about the graduate school.
Yeah, and I will. Mostly like the reason why I don't want to do a master's or PhD right away is because I don't know where I want to specialize in yet. I don't know like something, okay, I want to go into this in particular. And so I want to give it a little bit of time for teaching, even if it's not teaching in high school, like formally, even something like going back and like teaching at like robotics or like things like that, that would also be really fulfilling for me.
Yes.
But yeah, I would also love to like be able to like maybe teach at like high school as well. I think that would be kind of fun, kind of interesting.
Richard, what questions do you have for
actually, the main question I had was kind of very related to what you just said in terms of career path and teaching. So it sounds like teaching drives you. You take a lot of leadership roles, and I guess it kind of depends on what level of teaching. And it doesn't seem like you're like kind of targeting college level education. You're kind of going more for elementary school or private school or something like that in that age level. So I think Phil's right. I mean, in order to teach in the state of California, you have to get a teaching credential, which is basically a master's in education. And that's something where it's not like a computer science degree, but for example, I don't think Phil or I can teach in a high school because we don't have, or I'm speaking for myself, I don't have a teaching credential. So if you wanted to kind of have a more formal title and teach at that level, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. You kind of have to get a teaching credential unless you do volunteer or something like that, but not like an affiliated faculty with a high school, for example, or a public school. I was going to say, if you wanted to go to college, then or like teach at the college level, I would highly recommend going for the PhD, just because that opens up a lot of doors and it doesn't kind of like, you don't hit a ceiling after a certain point. So that's something where I'm not sure, I didn't get the impression that was your intention, but just to say, if for whatever reason, you're just kind of like, you know what, I miss college and teaching and, 190J and tutoring was so great and like, so on and so forth, then I would say, get a PhD because then that opens up a lot of doors. Yeah. So that's kind of my one kind of comment that I had in your presentation. I actually know a lot of context on your project, so I don't really have many other questions outside of that. Like, what are you doing? Because I actually do know. So yeah, I think I'm good for questions.
All right, so let's turn to the chat window and the chat window, or you can raise your hand if you want to ask your question in person. So I'm just looking to see if there are any hands raised in the Zoom room here and looking to see if there's anything in the chat. Let me just count to 10 silently and see if anything pops up. All right, so we don't have any questions from the room, so I think we will we'll end the recorded part here. So once again, thank you, Adam, for a great presentation, and that will conclude the recording.